Let me share this story of the cowboy's pact with the devil. A long time ago, there was a cowboy living with his family and children. Initially, everything was good. He worked while his wife stayed home taking care of the children. However, one day, a strike erupted in the village, causing massive destruction and exacerbating the crisis. Extremely saddened at his inability to support his family, the man began to seek more jobs, but they paid him much less. He attempted working in a mine for several days, but the salary was not sufficient, and the money he was earning was just not enough. One day, while he was searching for work far from the village, he asked the locals if there were any jobs around. The villagers informed him that there were no jobs there either, as they too were in crisis and agricultural production had dwindled. Heartbroken, the cowboy heard the locals talking about a mysterious man in the woods who granted wishes provided you had something to give in return. Intrigued, the cowboy asked, "Who is this that can help?" The community members replied that they did not know. Some said it was evil itself, others that it could be the evil man himself. Driven by curiosity, he decided to go into the woods at night to see if he could find a solution. The first night he found nothing and returned home. The next day at dusk, he explored the forest again, but without success. On the third day, he returned to the gloomy and mysterious forest, and just as he was about to give up and it was beginning to rain, he heard the sound of a horse walking with its harness jangling. He looked from one side to the other, but saw nothing. After a moment, a horseman appeared in front of the cowboy. The horse was elegant, and the man wore dark clothes with an aura of distinction. "Man, what do you seek from me?" the rider said. The cowboy, eager to find help, responded, "I want you to help me." The mysterious being mounted on his horse replied elegantly, "Man, how can I help you? I don't have a job, and my family's falling into poverty. I want you to help me get out of this situation," said the cowboy. "And what do you have to offer me?" the mysterious being asked. The cowboy, in desperation, answered, "I don't know. I don't have anything. Perhaps I can offer you my life." The mysterious being then clarified, "All right, let's do something. I can't help you much, but I'll tell you where you can find gold. See that dark cave over there? Only you can extract it. Nobody else. But when you die, I'll take your body with me." Fearfully, the cowboy agreed to the deal. "It's okay, as long as I help my family. I accept." The mysterious being let out an evil laugh and said, "Haha, cowboy, I'll see you in a few years." From that day on, the cowboy started extracting gold from the cave. Only he could do that since he knew how to. Gradually, he started to accumulate more money, which enabled a better life for his family. Even when his children grew older, he sent them to the best schools for better opportunities. Over time, the man also began to contribute to his town and to charities. After several years, the cowboy earned respect and became one of the wealthiest men, taking care not only of his family, but also supporting the town. Still, one day, as a grandfather in his 60s, he was contemplating while walking through the woods. "My life has been greatly altered by that mysterious entity, but will I really relinquish my body to that mysterious entity when I pass away?" he pondered while walking alone at dusk. Suddenly, from far away or perhaps close by, the galloping of a horse could be heard. He surmised that it must be the mysterious entity. Where could it be? Where could it be? He wondered. Right then, the mysterious entity emerged close to him and said, "Hey cowboy, remember that I will come for you on the day you pass away. I just came to remind you. Don't forget," and he galloped off quickly. Scared and anxious, the cowboy returned home. After many years, when the cowboy was very old and close to his death, he secretly confessed to his eldest son, "Son, you know why we are rich. During that strike, I went to a mysterious being. He will come for me when I die and take my body. If you want to help me, there are only two solutions. The first is that you take on this responsibility and in turn pass it on to your child and so on, so he doesn't take our body when we die." "But Dad, what's the second option?" the eldest son asked. "The second option is that on the day of my death for 3 nights, they have a vigil, and at least 3 people must be awake. All 3 nights they must stay alert until midnight. If they manage to do that, I'll get away," the old cowboy explained. The son, sad but understanding his father, answered, "Dad, I can't take your responsibility. We'd better have a 3-night vigil, and no one should fall asleep." Thus they came to an agreement between father and son. When the cowboy finally passed away, all the townspeople, along with the family,
gathered for the respective vigil. Before starting, the eldest son asked everyone to stay awake for the 3 nights, before dawn. The family, who had resources, hired musicians to keep everyone entertained and awake. They arranged for music to be played all night, alternating musicians to keep the atmosphere lively. The women in the kitchen prepared food for those keeping vigil over the deceased. So the first night passed without any problems. Almost all attendees, although tired, managed to stay awake until morning in solidarity with the deceased. During the second night of the wake, attendance dipped slightly. Those who did come, including the cowboy's wife, made an effort to keep everyone awake, organizing the women in the kitchen to continuously make coffee. However, something unusual was happening that night. A black dog was lurking nearby, a dog that didn't seem to belong to any of the people present at the wake. Despite this, the people guarding the coffin managed to stay awake until dawn without any issues. The next day, the cowboy's family, anticipating that the third night would be the most difficult, organized themselves meticulously. The cowboy's wife made sure to frequently distribute coffee to those guarding the coffin. Some of them, seeking to stay awake, took swigs of liquor, chewed coca leaves and smoked cigarettes while chatting. As 10 o'clock in the evening drew near, and strangely, some began to feel sleepy, which was unusual for them. Just then, it suddenly began to rain heavily. Despite the rain and the fact that some had already fallen asleep, the eldest son heard a strange sound, like a rider was galloping nearby, circling the area. With a growing fear, he alerted all his brothers to stay awake. More drinks and more coffee were served to fight off sleep. Meanwhile, the rain continued, and everyone sought shelter while still keeping watch. As the clock approached midnight, the eldest son saw right at the entrance of the house a dark rider on a graceful horse, and clad in black robes, stared at him intently. The eldest brother, filled with fear, frantically tried to wake up his brothers who were struggling to keep their eyes open and avoid falling asleep. Suddenly, a dense fog and thick smoke encased the area where the wake was happening, causing everyone to fall asleep, one by one. The eldest brother, a few moments later, woke up with difficulty and looked at his watch. It was 11 minutes past 12 in the morning. Looking at the coffin, he realized that it was completely empty. In desperation, he tried to wake up all his siblings and the rest of the family. At that critical moment, near the door, the man in the dark suit on horseback said, so close, you almost won, but this time I won." And he carried off the old man's corpse.